So today we're talking with Chris with Dapper and Fit, and we're talking all about what it means and what implications are there for actually being attractive. Now, don't scroll away. I promise this is going to be very, very valuable for you guys. I know this is an uncomfortable subject, but there are true benefits of being attractive in this world, right?
Absolutely.
Now, when we're talking about attractiveness, what are we really talking about here?
Someone who takes care of themselves. All your basic fundamental habits that you do is what promotes you being attractive. Do you eat well? Do you exercise? Do you care about the way you look when you put your clothes on, when you do your hair? I mean, I have a lot of it, so it takes a lot of effort. But still, in that sense, is do I get a haircut? Do I shave my beard? Do I look presentable when I go out in public?
I agree. So it's more than just showering then, right?
And not stinking, yes.
And not stinking. Not stinking is the primary thing to get people to talk to you. So when people do exercise, when they do care more about how they look, now we're not promoting vanity here, guys. We're not saying you need to be the, supermodel or the Kardashian or
Right.
whatever. But we're saying in general, when you take care of yourselves, it shows to other people.
Absolutely.
So what kind of settings would this show up for other people?
Well, typically you see more admiration in other people. They start to look up to you and they start to believe more in what you have to say because you exempt more confidence. And when you do the little things like eating right, it shows in your skin. It shows in the way you carry your weight. And when you're doing those little things in your basic habits, it's more likely to fall over or at least be believable that you're doing it in your career or in other larger parts of your life that require high attention to detail.
Well, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? If you're the type of person that will run a 100-yard dash, but you'll only hit 99 yards, you're going to do that in every single aspect of your business, of your life. It's just the law of how you do everything, right? So from a real estate standpoint, I remember when I was doing real estate investing, my job was to be a cash raiser. I raised $9 million in 9 months. And when I first started with it, I found it more difficult because I didn't understand this attractiveness piece of it. Really, I didn't. And for me, I really didn't change much except for hold myself in a different authoritative state and dress in a way that other people would perceive as more respectable. For instance, no jeans. I would wear, business casual pants and always with like a blazer, some nice jewelry, so that people could see that I take myself seriously and therefore they should take me seriously as well.
Absolutely. You show that you care about what you're presenting to other people. Like if we were going into $1 million meeting where there was investors and everything and you walked in with clothes that were dirty, would they believe you in that sense that you're going to take care of their money to the utmost high standards? Probably not.
Now, the one, I can hear people online pushing back on this one, right? There's pictures of like Jay-Z and different people that, when they didn't have a lot of money, they were very flashy and wore all the latest designs. And then now that they do have money, you'll see them in like black t-shirts, black jeans, and very not flashy. But to argue with you naysayers that I know are going to pop up, and you should pop up, this should be a topic that makes you think. When you look at Jay-Z now, wouldn't you agree that even though he may be, understated, the black is still black. It's not faded black or gray or washed out. Those black t-shirts are a strong black and they're clean.
And they're pressed and there's no wrinkles and like there's still probably $100 and $200 shirts. And they're made of high quality materials. And that's where we start accounting money towards our clothes, and maybe that shirt's expensive, but I can guarantee you that shirt isn't going to fade. It's not going to break down because it's of higher quality material. We start looking at quality versus quantity.
Right. Well, and in that same case, I know I used to live with a girl when I was 21 living in San Francisco. If you guys know my story, I've lived all over the place, and this is one of them. And she said she used to shop at Forever 21 all the time, right? And she always used to say, those are my throwaway clothes. So throwaway clothes being, I'll wear them once or twice, and then they're going to turn to crap, and they're not going to look good.
And those are the clothes you go outside and do your work in, your gardening. But like me, for example, some people would take and go to the store in that. And I don't recommend that because you never know who you're going to run into. And if it's a first impression, then those things will always last with people. And so you should always be representing yourself to the highest that you possibly can.
Well, that happened to you today, didn't it? I mean, you was coming out of the gym.
Yeah.
Did you come out of the gym in your workout clothes?
No, I came out of the gym dressed like this. And actually, I met the owner of the Olympia, Jake Woods.
Oh.
So, like, you never know who you're going to run into.
Do you think he would have talked to you if you looked... Let's face it, we all look schlummy when we're done working out, right? We're sweaty, we're hot,
right.
We're in workout clothes, and that's 100% okay. But do you think he would have still talked to you if you had crossed his path looking like that compared to how you look right now?
I think the conversation, if it would have happened, would have been a different conversation.
Fair enough.
I think that me being dressed the way I was sparked interest. And it was like, oh, who are you? What do you do? Because I command attention. I command confidence, respect, that I care about myself other than just I lift weights.
I think that's a very, very appropriate statement. So, if you want that instant credibility, especially if you're building a new business, any realtors out there, any personal trainers, if you really are building a new business, and you want that instant authority and instant respect from people, you do need to present yourself as if you already have it.
I mean, let's take, for example, a house. You're selling a house, right? You wouldn't stage the house or not stage the house so people couldn't go in and see it as either a slum place or nothing in there. You're staging the house right so people can see themselves living there. You can see their families gathered around the television and watching a movie, enjoying it. Or you walk in and you can kind of see the kitchen arranged and you can visualize your whole family having Thanksgiving dinner there.
Right.
The same thing happens with the way we present ourselves in life. Now, I'm not advocating that we go and we are in a 3-piece suit at a casual event.
Or at 115 in Phoenix.
That's why I wear a vest. But it's still, like, there's a time and a place for everything.
Right.
And it still matters. The little details are what show in us. And when we care about our small basic habits, then it bleeds over into the larger ones. When there's more pressure, it's more difficult to make the decision. It's easier to make that.
Yeah, and you do make a good point. It is far easier to sell a house that has been painted, updated, remodeled into something that looks nice. It doesn't have to be the Pinterest house. It doesn't have to be the $1 million luxury house. It just needs to look clean, updated, and everything needs to function properly, right? So that's the same with how you're presenting yourself into the world. You need to look clean and smell clean, please, from all of us that can smell. Please smell clean. And you need to be able to function, and that really kind of ties back into your movement piece of your business.
Absolutely.
Right? So talk to me more about that.
So the way we exercise is correlated to the way our body looks. Now, if I wanted to be a power lifter, I would move heavy weights really fast and do it once or twice, and I would be really big.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Huh.
Because it generates and builds muscle tissue according to the way we stimulate it.
Oh, okay.
So the way I train people is slower motion, in control, where you're learning how to actually activate and stimulate the specific muscle. And that creates a 3D muscle, and it also creates a slimming effect.
Oh, that's nice. Now, I know people that have worked with you, right? We won't say any names because we don't have the permission on paper. But someone that we're both mutually acquainted with started working with you, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
And how much, I don't know if his goal was weight loss or muscle growth.
He was just wanting to be healthier in general.
Okay.
And he's already telling me he has to buy new pants.
Oh, that's...
Which...
What do you do? No, I'm just kidding. Hey, You got to open up the door and lead right in, right?
Right.
So, but honestly, to have to buy new pants, that means we're losing weight, we're trimming up.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this particular person is not quite retirement age by any means, but not necessarily a young buck at 25 either, right?
No, he's in his later part of his 50s. And generally speaking, when you get to that age, the testosterone levels are lower, which makes it harder to build muscle tissue. But we're not necessarily worried about building muscle tissue to get super big and bulky. We're trying to stimulate it so it can work at its best actual ability than just going in and throwing weights around.
Literally, this is exactly how I approach real estate too. Look, guys, if we want to sell your house, and we absolutely can, and the market has shifted, right? A year ago, if you want to sell the house, put it on the market and wait a day, and you'll probably be $40,000 over. But that is an uncommon phenomenon. It is not what is standard, right? So if you really do want to sell your house and you want to get the top dollar for it, it needs to function properly. Everything needs to turn on, turn off. It needs to look presentable. The same thing with buying new pants, right? You may need to buy new countertops. That's a huge way to increase the value. Paint. Paint is such an easy way to basically put a new pair of clothes on.
Make everything look fresh, right?
Exactly. So it ties into literally everything. And that's one of the reasons I know when Chris and I originally talked about this video, it was kind of, how are we going to tie this in? But when we started digging deeper, we realized, man, it really is true. How you do one thing is how you do everything. And I will tell you, you've inspired me to exercise, so thank you. Every day I curse your name.
I look
for at least 30 minutes.
I look at that as a compliment.
Yes. You should. It is a compliment. You're like a legal torture device, right?
Technically.
So tell me a little bit more about the services that you offer, because we've kind of gone a lot into looks and some functionality, but we might be confusing our viewers here. Tell me more about what you do.
All right, so technically I am what you would consider like a life coach. I hate using that term because it's so kind of played out. But essentially what I teach is, first we go through nutrition and how food affects the body and manipulates the body composition. And then we move into training, physical training, and how we can use movements to stimulate the body to sculpt itself. And then we move into visual influence, and that is the way we present ourselves, our clothes, our cologne that we use, and for any situation. And then after that, we get into the mental health part, and we use all the different pillars that we have just worked through to show how it's affected our mental health and how we can continue to promote positive mental health.
I love that, guys. I mean, really, mental health in this day and age is so huge. It really is, especially after COVID. I mean, not to kind of bring up the negative here, but a lot of people died in COVID, but it was 3 times more people than normal averages wound up committing suicide during that time. It was very sad. And so mental health is something that ties in, again, to every single aspect of your life. It will help your relationship, it'll help you in business, it'll help you with your friendships, with your family, with so many things. How you present yourself in the world is how the world around you reflects what you are presenting. So do you work with women, men?
I work with both, but my pain point, or the area that I focus on the most, is dads.
Oh.
Guys that have dedicated their lives towards fulfilling and supplying for their family, and haven't necessarily forgot about themselves, but when they look in the mirror, their value is only tied to their career. And they have health conditions because they haven't necessarily ate right, they haven't been exercising, they haven't been taking care of themselves in a manner that reflects on who they are as a person, actually.
Right.
Like, they have more value other than the paycheck that they bring in, but they may not necessarily know how to pull that back out of them.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily feasible to go back and do what we did in high school. You know what I mean?
I mean, if I saw a 50-year-old, on the football field, I mean, more power to you, but I know your knees are going to hurt. I know your legs are going to hurt. and it's highly likely that you might cause an injury. So I think having you as a trainer in that aspect, as a coach, would be immensely beneficial to make sure you're preventing injury, achieving the results that you want, and showing up in the way that requires the response from the world that you expect of yourself. I think that's huge.
Absolutely.
So I know you do work with women, so if you are a woman out there and you would like to just get a taste of what this might look like for you as well, feel free to contact Chris. His information is going to be just below this video. And if you're a dad, definitely reach out to Chris, because you're a dad too, right?
I am a dad.
Awesome. So he understands what you're going through. He really does. And he's one of the most incredible people that you'll ever meet. We call him Superman because he really is just a Superman.
Hey.
So thank you very much, Chris, for being here today. My name is Margene with EXP.
My name's Christopher Reeves with Dapper and Fit.